Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show right here on WBCR 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host this week, Brandon Murphy, class of 2017, and I'm the Associate Director of Alumni Engagement here at Siena College. And this week, I am joined by Kristin Polizzi and her husband, Tom Polizzi, both from the class of 2010, the co-founder and president of Charlie Polizzi's Warrior of the Angels. You can see it in their t-shirts today. It's the logo and their nonprofit that is bringing awareness to CDH. We have a great show today lined up, talking about their unique Siena story, but also their unique family story after they graduated from Siena. And a quick reminder to everyone listening today, even though it's here on the radio, 88.3 The Saint, you can listen anywhere you get the podcast and on our YouTube channel, the Siena Alumni Engagement account, and the complete list of the Saints and Alumni Show and all the episodes that we have. But without further ado, I want to introduce Kristin and Tom to the audience today. Kristin and Tom, thanks so much for joining us.
Yeah, Dan, thanks for having us.
It's a beautiful Friday here. Luckily, we got a great weekend coming up. And I know you guys have a crazy busy weekend following this weekend with what you guys have to bring awareness to CDH. And we're going to unpack that in the second segment today. But first, it's usual. Our audience always wants to know the Siena story of Kristin and Tom. And you guys have a unique one because you guys, I believe, met at Siena and have a great Siena story to share today. But I want to take back the tapes just a little bit to senior year of high school, if we can remember that far back. For me, it's been, I think, maybe 9 years ago that I was a senior in high school and I was applying for colleges. And luckily for me, my brother Ryan was already at Siena. So I kind of had a taste of Siena and I knew I wanted to come here. But for so many of our guest speakers that come on the show, they each have a different story of how they ended up at Siena. So Kristin, I kind of want to begin with you. Can you take our audience through a little bit, what that decision-making process was like and why you chose to come to Siena College?
I like Siena because it was local, it was small. I had a few cousins and family members that came here and they always spoke so highly of it. And I just connected with how Siena and their mission worked.
And Kristin, did you go look at any bigger colleges? Did you look at smaller colleges? Was Siena always going to be the one for you?
They were my top college of choice. I looked at Hartford and some SUNY schools as well. But when I went to look at them, it didn't vibe.
I remember with my twin Andy and myself, we went to school together. We housed every year at Siena together. We never lived without each other. I live with him now. But he looked at Syracuse and Siena, and I was between Siena and St. Bonaventure. And, Siena and St. Bonaventure was pretty similar, sister schools. But for Andy, Siena and Syracuse were so different. And I'm always, intrigued to find out, did everybody always want a small school? Did they want a big school? But then last minute, they went for that small school. So I love to see that, you stayed true to the roots, what you wanted to come here to Siena. And what about for you, Tom? What was that hook that got you here? Did you have a legacy family with you? What was that decision-making process like?
No, so I'm from Queens, and my junior year of high school, when we were doing the SATs, I just had no clue whatsoever. So I grew up with my grandparents, and my grandpa was super involved in this whole thing. My condition was I did not want to stay local. God help me. I did not want to go to St. John's or anything in the city. So I want to leave, and I picked a 2-hour radius. And for weekends on end, I would just wake up at 7 a.m. as a high school student, fall asleep in a car, and end up at some college somewhere that I had no idea where I was. And one of them was Siena. And I came out of the car and I looked around the campus. I'm like, yeah, okay, I like this one. So
it's a beautiful spot.
Yeah, it ended up being my first pick. I went other places. I did Fairfield in Connecticut. I did St. Joseph's in Philly and Philly. So once I got to Siena, I sat down on class. I knew that's where I wanted to go.
And I knew I wanted to go to Siena myself, but my parents, they made me apply everywhere. It's big schools, small schools. They're like, let's play that financial aid game. I was like, listen, I want to go to Siena. My heart's at Siena, and I want to start my experience at Siena. And I remember that summer going into freshman year, I was so excited. I heard all these stories from my big brother about freshman year, about meeting new people and about, just getting my feet wet in so many different places on campus. And for you, Kristen, what do you remember about moving day, about that first few weeks of college and that big picture of freshman year that sticks with you today?
I think just trying to find your group. And like at Siena, it was more of a community where it's like everybody wanted to find that group. So I remember in our hallway, we would go to, it was right there. It's like the Stewards or something. We'd walk to the restaurants right nearby. There was not as many things there our freshman year, but we'd walking at ice cream at Stewards or something like that as a group of like 20 of us in the hallway. We'd all walk, even though we didn't really know each other, but for a couple of days, we'd all just make sure we all knew each other by the end of that week. So the community and the close knit
I laugh
family, even
about
though you're just meeting each other.
I laugh about Stewart's because we just had a reunion weekend a month and a half ago now, and everybody that came went to go get Stewart's ice cream. And like the following day, I went to go get a cup of coffee, and I had a Siena polo on, and they were like, "What happened this weekend? Was it moving day already?" I was like, "Oh no, that was June. It was a reunion weekend, and everybody needed to have that Stewart's ice cream." So if I can't think of a better thing to bond over, to meet Siena people, is to take that trip down to Stewart's on Route 9 and to get that kind of cookie dough ice cream that I love so much. So it's great to see that, back in 2007, 2006, it was the same way back then. And then what about for you, Tom? What do you remember about moving in? Did you come in with a roommate that you knew? Was it a random roommate that you met on the first day? What was that transition process?
My roommate I met during orientation, his name was Dennis, and we like bonded during our stay. Like my roommate didn't show up, his didn't show up, so we ended up sleeping together the first night. We decided we want to be roommates. And I don't know, my big thing about freshman year was Guitar Hero. How else do you get a hallway of like dudes to bond? It's just, I had my PlayStation 2, I had my Guitar Hero, and we had everybody coming in playing Guitar Hero at like random hours of the night. That and yelling at drunk people in the horseshoe.
Yes,
because we were in Ryan Hall, so we would harass drunk people in the horseshoe.
Yeah,
kind of immature.
That's still a thing.
Yeah, it was great.
I believe that.
It was fantastic.
For me, my freshman year, we had we were big in FIFA. So we would keep our doors open in the hallway. We'd all be playing FIFA. We'd have popcorn. Some rooms would have football on. It was the best way to meet people organically. I loved all the icebreakers and I loved saga sitting. But sometimes just being in the hallway with your hallmates, it's the best way to kind of ease into that transition process of meeting new people and trying new things. And I know you guys have a great Siena story and you guys want to share about, how you met. And I think that was also freshman year. But before we dive into that, just the overall experience of, what did you both major in? And it was community service. Did you guys join any clubs? Anything like that, Kristin, that still sticks with you about your overall time at Siena?
I started as a bio major in my freshman year, and then I switched to business with marketing management at the time they had. And then, so I had that major and I changed over middle of sophomore year. I was a member of the equestrian team from sophomore year to senior year as well. So I was a member of that group and I rode on their English team. And I enjoyed that. I was around horses all my life, so that was just kind of a natural thing for me to do. So I was a member of that group. I organized the Kentucky Derby party with them every year, which was fun and interesting. And it kind of helped me get where I am now because I actually taught an event management class this fall at Siena. So kind of naturally brought me there.
The education for a lifetime.
Yeah. So it was a great experience at Siena. And Paul Thurston actually reached out to me and asked me to teach that class. So it was nice to be able to come back to Siena as a staff faculty.
And hopefully that can continue to happen and you can continue to teach classes throughout the years. And Tom, what about you? What did you major in and some of the inside of the classrooms that stick with you?
So I went in as a psych major. I left as a psych major. Those were really good. Karen Boswell was a fantastic professor.
She's still here.
Yeah, is she?
Yeah.
Nice.
I was a psych major myself too, so.
And Dr. Betty Bachman was also fantastic.
Still here.
Great. If anybody is thinking about psychology, those two are fantastic. Definitely look into that. And then just outside of class, we did intramural floor hockey. that was our big thing. We've recruited the women's field hockey team to try to play with us or play against us, and we realized that their field hockey skills don't really translate to normal hockey well at all. And just general, going out behind, I don't even know if this is still a thing, but behind the gym, there was like a little basketball court, and there were hockey nets that we used to be able to take out, and there was goalie equipment and stuff that we could just sign
I
out and
love
just
that.
play. Yeah, so we would go out back, and when we were there, the club hockey team at Siena was like ranked number 3 in the nation, so they were fantastic. And a couple of times they would decide to play with us, and playing goalie, that was terrifying.
Those are some of the memories that stick with us that maybe sometimes you don't want to stick with us as being goalie and that. And we are tied to radio today, so we only got a few minutes left, but we keep hinting at this, and our audience is just itching to know how you two met here at Siena. And I know that we had talked briefly before the show began. Well, you guys have a great relationship with Father Dan Dwyer, who married you. Can you talk a little bit about how you two met at Siena and that relationship that you two have with Father Dan still to this day?
Yeah, so I'll take it because I have more fun telling the story. So my roommate actually dated her roommate freshman year. So it kind of came to the point where one of them was in each other's rooms at any given point. So one of us was either alone or with the 3 of them. So then we started hanging out, and then we went out, and then we broke up. And then we got into like a big fight, and we didn't talk for like 2 years.
Wow.
And yeah. And then junior year, we started being friends again, and we were kind of hanging out at her townhouse a bunch. And it wasn't until senior year, the second semester of senior year, actually, that this one decided that she wanted to go out with me again. So yeah.
And then when did you guys get married? So you guys graduated 2010. When did you guys have the wedding? When did Father Dan preside over the ceremony for both of you?
So that was July 5th of 2014. And Dwyer was actually our professor she needed to take a second history class because she didn't take history very much. I ended up with a history minor, so I was all in on this. And he was just such a nice guy and just so friendly that when we were going through everything, we're not exactly active. Like I grew up in Queens, we're not active in the church local to us. So there's like a preference of getting married by their priests, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, Father Dwyer was always nice. We kept in a little bit in touch after graduation, not a lot, but just a little bit. And we asked if he would do it. And we spent some time in the friary. We had him over for dinner a few times. He, and kind of a hook for the second half of everything, he also came to the hospital on the day our first son, Charlie, was born and passed away. He came there to do a little service there, and he also presided over his funeral as well. So he's been heavily involved since.
It's always great to
we
hear
graduated.
that friars, continue to still have an impact in our lives. I've stayed close with many friars throughout my years after graduating in 2017. And I want to thank you both for sharing that Siena story that you both have. And I know going into the second segment, we have another unique and really important story to share with our audience today as well. So please, everyone listening, stay with us. We'll be right back here on WBCR 88.3 The Saint. Welcome back to the Saints and Alumni Show right here on WBCR 88.3 The Saint. I'm your host this week, Brandon Murphy, class of 2017, and the Associate Director of Alumni Engagement here at Siena College. And this week, I am joined by Kristin Polizzi and her husband, Tom Polizzi, both from the class of 2010, co-founder and president of Charlie Polizzi's Royer of the Angels, that is bringing awareness to CDH. And we're going to talk a little bit about CDH here in the second segment. CDH is known as congenital diaphragmatic hernia, and Kristin and Tom are really passionate and are doing a lot of great work to help bring awareness and to help find a treatment for CDH. And Tom, I want to pass it over to you now, just to talk a little bit about why this disease it means so much to you and to your family.
Yeah. So I guess first of all, it's more than just what a hernia is. People think, hernia, it's a little hole in the muscle. Now, the diaphragm didn't fully form. So our son, Charlie, who passed away, his heart and lung actually went up into, his heart and lungs were squished by his stomach and his liver that went to his chest. It allows for the abdominal organs to move up. It's pretty bad. It's fairly common. About as common as something like spina bifida, which more people are familiar with. And, he was our firstborn. He was our little miracle baby. we had a lot of hopes and dreams, and in the blink of an eye, everything went from a happy, blissful pregnancy to a living nightmare. And we started this foundation about a year after him to kind of just share his story and try to make the future of a CDH a little less terrifying. I don't think you'll ever be able to stop it from being scary, but just know that hopefully in 10 years, whatever, it's not so, yeah.
And you talked about this happening in 2019 and 2018, and then just after that, beginning the nonprofit organization. Can you talk a little bit about and share it with the audience today what that journey's been like to build this nonprofit from the ground up, and what it's been like to go through it together?
Yeah, we worked on it for a while. It took us a while we knew we wanted to start the foundation, but it took us a while to kind of get the ambition up and really get the paperwork in and do everything we needed to get the foundation done. But about just over a year after Charlie passed, we had all the paperwork in. We were a 501c3. And so we were really trying to build our board, engage more people to our mission. So we were able to find community members that really helped us expand and get our name out there. And we've been locally working with Alumni Med slightly in the last year, but we more recently and more frequently work with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia, who are one of the top hospitals for CDH in the world. And they do a lot of research, and we support a lot of their funding for their research projects. We have 2 or 3 that we really support, and we have been able to provide a good amount of funding for them in the last couple of years. We work with them to really get what they need, and support the
research and their mission.
The research and their mission for the CDH.
And you talk a lot about the relationship that you have with the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And you mentioned that it's one of the main centers globally that treat CDH. Over 1,500 families affected by CDH and begin to be treated at the Children's Hospital of Philadelphia. And your family was also treated at the hospital, I believe, correct?
Yes, we went there twice. We had our main scans there, which for a CDH baby would be an MRI, and they scan the heart. They do a more advanced anatomy scan, and then a bunch of other testing, and then they talk to you for about hours. It felt like hours on end, and basically in a little room telling you that your life has completely changed and you're shattered, basically. And they expect you to remember all of this. So they do have a pretty good team there that communicated back to you after that. They help you find housing, because most of the time you don't live that close. So the Ronald McDonald House is always an option. Then they have different apartment complexes or they work with. So they're a really good resource, not just for the research, but they also help the families a lot. So that's where we really felt that would be the best to support, because they have so much available to help the CDH families and to help the CDH babies. And even talking to who was supposed to be Charlie's doctor at birth, Dr. Hedrick, if you go on our website, there's a video of her. She is so driven by CDH and helping the future of CDH. She knows so much about everything. She spoke to us even about the stitches for the hernia repair, of how important it is to have specific kinds of stitches. So there's so many different things that they are so passionate about. Just for CDH and the treatment and the repairs. And there's just so many factors about CDH that they really care about and work hard to improve.
And before we kind of pivot to some of the work that's being done at Charlie's Royer of the Angels, it kind of coincides with Dr. Hendricks, and Tom had mentioned before the podcast began today that at the most recent gala, to help bring awareness to CDH, that she was able to speak with you and to kind of see the attendees. Tom, can you just talk briefly just about what that meant to you and to some of the attendees to still have a relationship with her this year?
Yeah, no, so our first event, they provided a very high quality video. We had hoped that they would have somebody come, but scheduling conflicts, and it felt like they did the great video, but it was kind of like we had to keep pushing for it. So I always felt a little like, but then she added a really great personal message. As Kristin said, it's on our website. It's right there at the end of it, and that really stuck with us. So this year, or sorry, this past year, due to COVID, nobody from Philadelphia was able to attend our gala, but she did a Zoom call, which is, everybody's doing Zoom lately, and just having that Discord with her, that back and forth as she's explaining some things, the research that they're working on, not just to us but to a room full of 80 attendees, was great. Seeing her face and having that interaction was just really comforting, and I think she really got to see the effect of it. Just the people, like the round of applause that she got from it, the everything. I think that really helped her out too, as just like confirmation of the broader community impact, not just for the family, but for everybody in general.
We talk about that broader community and that broader family impact that CDH has on so many families. And then there's the initiatives, the programs, and the events that your nonprofit is doing and working on. Can we talk a little bit about what types of initiatives are taking place at the nonprofit today and what's being done for some of the families?
So next week, we're holding our first run for CDH. The run itself, the run walk, is going to be virtual. And it's going to be from Friday to Sunday, the 29th through the 31st. And then we're going to have a closing event at Sienna, Family Fun Day, with different games, paint and sip. So for kids, we're going to have not wine, but like juice, apple juice, and like sparkling.
Kind of for everybody. We don't have a liquor license, so it's everybody gets the apple juice and sparkling cider.
Yeah. And then we're going to have a food truck and just a couple other activities, candle making, different things like that, just to have entertaining family fun day at Sienna, because that's where we came together, and we both just love Sienna. So we just felt it to be natural that we have the event there. We also have 2 other Sienna alumni on our board, so it's just very natural for us to have an event at Sienna. And then we did switch our gala to April. It usually was in October. So we are going to have our 3rd gala on April 23rd.
I believe 2023.
April 23rd,
Crazy to think about 2023 already.
I know, it's crazy.
And that's going to be at the Edison Club in
Downtown.
Edison downtown in Schenectady.
Yep.
So.
And one other thing we've started too, since we are parents of infant loss, we've actually been working with Albany Med to get a program off the ground. It's called Soothing Hearts. It's for parents of infant loss because it's like a self-care thing for them. It's not something that you think about that you need as a parent or that they would need. But, for Kristin, after losing Charlie, one of her friends pushed her to do a CrossFit class, like a body blast class for like 12 weeks. And that helped her get, out of her head, out of everything. Because once you lose a child, and hopefully nobody really knows what I'm talking about, but, if the off chance somebody who does, or you are yourself, it kind of crushes your soul. And everything that you used to find fun isn't fun anymore. And you need to find something to help you pick you back up. So we've been working with Albany Med to get this off the ground. It's called Soothing Hearts, and we're always accepting applications for it. So that's out there
Tom,
too.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe Soothing Hearts, some of that information can be found on the website as well.
Yeah, everything can be on the website. There's the link to get the tickets for the virtual 5K/10K is on the website. The Dr. Hedrick's video is on there. Our story, a little bit more details on there, and Soothing Heart application is on there as well, and Charlie's story as well is on there.
Get our shirts.
Oh yeah, you get shirts and masks if people still want to wear masks because COVID is still a thing, and hats.
No. I got a little bald spot on the top right. I'll have to put a hat on. carve
Yeah,
out that so
I
no
do
sunburn
too.
happens.
My wife says I do. I refuse to believe that, but yes.
So it's great to see all the work that you guys are doing. And Kristin mentioned there's 2 other Sienna people on the board for the nonprofit. How big is this organization? How many people help plan the events? Is it just you two and the other 2 Sienna alumni? Who's kind of tackling the day-to-day operations?
We have a 9-person board right now.
Yep.
They consist of 4 doctors, and then Tom and myself, and then 2 Sienna alumni, and one of my good friends in marketing communications. So she helps with the advertising and communications.
And before I hand over, just last thoughts and comments to Kristin and Tom, I do want to congratulate you both on the birth of Asher last month. Congrats to both of you on that. And with some many blessings to both of you for him and the family. But just final thoughts or final advice to anybody listening today, Kristin and Tom.
I'd say whenever life gives you, I know it's so corny, make lemonade from the lemons. It's like, no, it's gonna suck. It absolutely will suck. It's okay to feel that hopelessness. It's okay to feel just crushed by the weight of the world, but just know that there are people out there who will help you out. There are organizations out there to help you out, and
don't be afraid to utilize
yes,
resources.
Don't be afraid to ask for help. It's not a pride issue. It's
not a weakness.
It's not a weakness.
It's needing help when you need help.
Yep.
Kristin and Tom, thanks so much for joining us today. I know it's a busy time for you. It's going to be a busy weekend next weekend, but it's doing so much great work and awareness for CDH. And thank you for sharing that story with alumni and the entire Sienna Saints community today. Thank you to everybody listening, and we'll see you next time here on WBCR 88.3 The Saint. Have a great weekend, everybody. Thanks again, Kristin and Tom.
Thank you.